So in the city, yes. In fact, I shouldn't be talking. Robin, do you want to tell us?
I didn't have a lot. I'm in the northwest suburbs. I know Kelsey is in the city. She had like 4 inches. So, yeah, it's very mixed bag here in Chicagoland.
Oh yeah, we have at least a foot.
Oh,
And oh yeah, and it's coming down horrible right now.
oh man.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
I'm right over the border. I'm Northwest Indiana, so I'm getting plummeted
Oh, wow.
by
Oh,
the
the
lake
lake
effect right
effect.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so crazy. And it's so funny. My husband works at US Steel right on the lake.
Mhm.
And he's like, there's some not as bad as when he was looking at our cameras. He's like, holy crap. Like how much is out there? I'm like, there's at least a foot.
Yeah.
Oh
There's
my
at least a
gosh.
foot.
Yeah, the
So,
pictures of the video from Michigan City last night, like late last night, midnight or so, it was really coming down. And South Haven got hit too.
yeah, they must have. I just feel like, holy crap, what is going on now? That's what I'm like, craziness.
We may
Craziness.
have, let's see, I haven't heard from Lewis. Has anybody heard from Lewis?
I talked to him earlier today, but I didn't know if he was going to attend this or not.
Okay. And Liz is scheduled, but I don't know that if she's showing yellow. So I think the thing for us to do, Karen, whoever kicks off, whether you or Tanya kick off,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and get started, but let's record it. So, and especially for like Enrico and Kelsey, they can view it later as well. So.
Okay, perfect. Tanya, can you go ahead and start the recording on it?
Yep, it should already be already started.
Okay, super. And I'm going to go off camera so nobody has to look at my mug.
Like your mug.
The mug.
We are, so that's the mug. So we might need, we might have to do a separate one just for Enrique since he's the actual loan officer, because he's going to be the one that's going in and looking at everything and doing stuff on there. Is he off today or is he on just in another meeting?
He's going to be out for an extended period of time, a couple of weeks. So
Okay.
we're going to connect with him. And Marie, you're here. You're also an NMLS loan officer. So
good.
Marie
Okay.
is here with us today, and Marie will take it in as well. So I feel like between Marie and with the recording, we're well represented.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, I will let Tanya take over and then we'll record it. And when Enrique comes back, if he'd like to do another one-on-one, we can get Tanya and myself on a call with him as well.
I think
but we'll
it's fair
get
to
it
say
recorded
that
and sent over.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, just to set the groundwork, we would hope for that for the first application or two anyway, just to walk through with somebody as we just get started. I'm sure that's a common request, and I think that's a good thing for us to do anyway.
Perfect.
All right. All right, well, sounds good. Can everybody see my screen okay?
We can.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So I was going to show you a couple of different things today. To get started, I wanted to show you and kind of walk you through what it looks like from the member's perspective if they navigate to your website and apply online. So this is not the system that you'd be accessing to put in applications or to, if you're looking to follow up on something or just see the status of a file, that'll show in the second half. But to get started, I will show you what it looks like from the member's perspective to apply online. Depends on your membership. If your membership is comfortable, filling out the online application, I think you'll find that it's very easy, very user-friendly to walk through. None of our members really have any issues with it because it is very, very simple and very easy to navigate through. And then the loan officer portal has a very different look, but also not hard. It's not a difficult system at all. We always joke around, if Karen can do it, anybody can do it. She will be the first to tell you that she's not super savvy with systems. and we've made this as easy as possible. All right, well, with that, I will go ahead and get started. So this is an example of a cup
Karen,
site.
it's
So this-
Karen,
go
it
ahead.
sounds like you and I are in the same boat, Karen.
Yeah. Hold on, I thought I was on, where'd my little thing go? Oh, okay, I thought I was on mute.
Nope,
Yeah,
you.
no, I thought I was on mute, that's why I didn't say anything. Yeah, if I can do this, anybody can do this. I'm the most computer illiterate person out there. So this is made for the member and made for people like you and I, Greg.
Perfect.
All right, so what I'm displaying here is an example of Member First Mortgage's online member facing portal. And so I'll walk you through it. Yours, of course, is branded to your credit union, has your colors, your logos. I'm just using this because this is our test environment. So when the member goes out to apply online, they're going to click Apply Now. And the system is going to drop them into this next page, which lets them know that they're one step closer to the perfect mortgage solution. And then what they'll do is they'll click Continue to create a basic profile, which is their name, email address, and a password. Once they enter that in and they hit Create Profile down at the bottom, the system is automatically, for security purposes, going to send them a quick verification code to their email that they'll click on and put into the system. And that's just to verify that the email address was entered incorrectly, since it can be such an important part of the process as far as it relates to, electronic disclosures and communication. So from that standpoint, they would be jumped right into the application, and I already have a test profile set up. So I'm simply going to log in. But this is the starting page that it will take them to. So this is the application. Just a quick navigation here. Over on the left-hand side, it walks the member and lets the member know how much of their application is complete. And as they visit each screen and update it, it checks it off and lets them know, kind of where they've left off. That is one
Hey,
nice. Oh, go ahead.
Tanya, I wonder if I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you explain a little bit more on the Google restriction? I know a lot of people use Google, so I just want to make sure we're addressing that here in this section.
Yeah, so if it was a previous, it's been, and I'm not sure all the technical behind it. And Karen, I don't know if you do. I know at one time we had an issue with a Google, if a long time ago, if you used Google, like a Google sign in and saving, that the system was like holding a piece of it and it wasn't allowing the member to sign back in, but I am 99% confident that was addressed. Bear with me if.
Okay, so the Google, if somebody has a Google email, that would work. And really, that's all I want to address here at this point. They're
Yeah.
not going to be held up on the email, even if they are at gmail.com.
Oh, correct. No.
Okay,
no.
yep,
It's
that's all I
more
just
that
want to
single
address.
sign
Yep,
on. Yep. Nope. So
okay,
if they have Gmail, that's totally fine. Yeah, most of our borrowers do,
all right,
at
thanks.
least a good chunk. All right. Good question. So moving back to this version here, or to this piece here, on the left-hand side, it just kind of walks them through. And oh, I know what I was going to mention is if the member were to start the application and then they walk away, life gets busy or they get interrupted, the system will save their application wherever they left off, and they can jump back in to finish it, just like I'm doing here today. In the middle of this, oh, go ahead. Oh, I thought I heard something. In the middle of the screen here, this is where the member's going to fill out their information. Wherever we could, we put in boxes just to make it easy for clicking, or drop down boxes, and tried to minimize as much of typing as possible. Of course, we do need to collect some information. And then on the right-hand side, we have, why is this information important? This is a little written narrative that walks the member through what we're asking for and why. Just gives them a little bit further description, especially as we get through the application. If they have any questions, it's to provide them with some additional guidance. At the bottom right-hand corner, we will have our loan officer information. Your dedicated mortgage consultant is one of our senior consultants. That's Kevin Trumbull. If you haven't had the opportunity to meet him yet, you will shortly. He'll probably hop on a call and just introduce himself to you. And I'll provide you also with all of his contact information. But Kevin is a very well-seasoned mortgage consultant. I think he's been with Member First Mortgage, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, I like 12-ish years. And prior to that, I know he came from a credit union where he had about at least 10 years experience. So he's very seasoned in mortgages and credit unions.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. So to get started here, I teed up an application. I won't stop on every single field, but please, if you have any questions or concerns, please, jump in, interrupt me. This is your time to ask questions. So please do so. But I'll do my best too to pause periodically and ask what questions you may have. So in this example here, I have it teed up as a purchase transaction. And then the next question is going to ask the member if they want to opt in or opt out for Sims text messaging. If they do opt in for it, as the file meets certain milestones, they will get automated text. So one would be, of course, when they finish the application. And then as the file moves into processing and underwriting, they would get updates via text as well. And if we know it's okay to text communicate with them, Kevin will also communicate with the borrower via text or whatever communication preference they have. So from this page, then they'll move into the next page. And this page here is actually not on your website because we know that the application comes directly from your credit union. This is for our website. If for some reason your member were to navigate out to our website to apply, and what they would do is just indicate that they're working with your credit union, and then we update it on the back end. As the member moves to the next page, we are going to go into some just basic information about the transaction. So again, I have this teed up as a purchase. If the member has a signed contract and they say yes, excuse me, the address field will open up to capture the entire address. And then this one here, I have it set as no, as if I'm shopping for, a home and getting pre-qualified. So it's just the system is going to capture just a zip code as the placeholder. Moving down, the member will let us know what it is they're looking to do. So in my example here, my borrower is looking to buy a primary residence, and the home type that they have selected is a single family detached, but all home types are available. And in my scenario, my borrower is looking for 1 unit, but of course 1 to 4 units is available. We have an estimated purchase price that we want to get pre-qualified up to, and I just jotted in my down payment amount. If you've noticed, the system does have red asterisks. If the borrower if the borrower leaves a field blank and they go to navigate to the next page, it will gently direct them back to stay here and update it, or they can move on. I'm going to update this, put it back in. And then, some fields here are non-required because sometimes the information doesn't exist yet. Like in this example, it's a TBD, so there would be no earnest money yet. Moving forward, we're going to capture the borrower's basic information. It's going to map over their name, email address, and phone number because they've already put it into the system.
Hey, Tanya, could I interrupt for just a second? On the
Yes,
previous screen, so very often we get the question of, well, how much do I need to come in with? What can I afford also includes how much do I have? Is there a purpose for the earnest money deposit for down payment that would limit them? Does it look to limit programs based on the number at this point? Should we prepare them, I guess, is really what I'm asking. Should we prepare them to have a number?
No, not necessarily, and it depends on the program. And that can really vary, right? So for earnest money deposit, there would be no minimum. Sometimes there's no earnest money given at all in a transaction. I mean, most times there are, but that would not restrict them. As far as down payment, again, it's going to depend on the program, right? So
Right.
some programs allow for 100% financing, such as VA loans or RD, which just to let you know right now, with the government shutdown, those RD loans are suspended. VA is
Mhm.
still available, but RD is suspended for
Okay.
right now. But no, it's not going to restrict them. And
Okay.
you know, Kevin has access to quite a few different programs. For example, we have some FHA programs that, you know, you typically put down your 3.5%, but then we have some other programs that can be coupled with it, that can help with a down payment assistance. So like to help provide that additional 3.5.
And yeah, and we'll also be able to discuss that with them. But in the initial consultation, before they even get into this, it's not like they have to have a certain threshold. So we don't have to say, basically, they can come in whatever they're comfortable with. We don't have to have any particular minimum in that earnest money deposit for down payment field.
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, and thanks for going
Absolutely.
back. Okay.
Yeah, my pleasure, of course. So, and then back on the applicant information, it's going to start off with asking if there's going to be a co-borrower or a second applicant. If the member says yes, then the next page that's going to display is going to be an exact replica of this page, just capturing that second person's information. It will ask the member if they happen to be a first-time home buyer. And that is just so that when we pick it up on the back end in the LOP, we're looking at all available programs. Even if the member doesn't click it, if they put no, we are always verifying that just to make sure, like Kevin will run through the application, make sure everything is accurate and correct. Then the member will update, you know, their date of birth, marital status, citizenship, if they have any dependents and what ages they are. And at the very bottom is where they will go ahead and add in their current address. The next page is employment and income. You may have noticed that there's some red font over here to the right, and this is letting the member know that if they're not actively employed and don't have that history and have the quote unquote other income, that we're going to say no on this page, and then we would collect the other income on the next page. If the borrower does have that 2-year history and is actively employed and they say yes, the field's going to open up and we're going to try and capture as much of their employment information as possible. Now, as you can see, this one has a lot more fields in it, but the only two that are required to get the application going would be who they work for and what's their phone number. The rest we can always fill in later. Most of the time, though, it comes over very complete. I'll say like 9.5 times out of 10, everybody completes that out. I'm going to say no here and move on and show you the other income. So here's some other income that I've already added in. It's really simple for the member to do so. They're going to click on add other income. Then they're going to use the drop-down box and choose the income that fits their situation. If they're not finding what they're looking for, there is a catch-all other, and then they can put in, you know, a description here. And then the system is going to ask them for their annual amount. However, I find not everybody always knows their income annually. So there's this little calculate button here, which is super helpful, because usually when it comes to those other incomes, people generally know it by monthly amount. So I'm going to throw in $12.50. When I do that, the system will calculate it for me. So I don't have to math, which is nice. And then it'll save. All right. The next screen is the asset screen, and it works just like this last one. I'm going to click on add asset, and I'm going to start off by choosing my asset type. What type of account is it? I'm going to say money market. And then most of these fields are not required, but quite often the name gets filled out. So I'm just going to put in my credit union and just an estimated balance and hit save and continue. Now you may have noticed up here at the top, this box that says automatically pull in my account balances from your selected accounts. Now, this is not live in the online application. However, it is technology we'll offer to your member if they want to use it. And when we offer it, it's when the file is moving forward into processing and underwriting. So if the transaction requires the member needs to bring money to, we can offer them this solution to pull in their bank account statements electronically so that they don't have to download them or upload them. go into a bank or credit union to acquire them. Again, it is
So that
optional.
saves emailing statements. It's more secure.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yep. Way more secure. Yes. And what they'll do is they'll just sign in and give their authorization, and the system will pull the last 60 days of bank account activity. What's really nice about it, Greg, too, is that it can update and refresh like almost instantly. So let's say, you know, maybe the members account cycle, like the cycle cuts off at the end of the month. Maybe they gave their earnest money on the 5th of the month. So what we can do, as soon as that check clears, we can just refresh the report and it will pull in that information. So they don't have to, you know, provide any additional documentation for their earnest money because it will show.
Great, thank you.
Yep. So it's kind of nice way to streamline it for the member.
Right.
We find, you know, not everybody is comfortable with the technology yet, but we're having more and more people take advantage of it all the time. All right. This next page, if the borrower owns any real estate, we would just want to add that information to the application. They're going to click on add real estate information. Then they're just going to walk through and tell us about the homes that they own. What type is it? What's the address? Again, the property type, number of units, and then what they intend to do with the property. Did it recently sell? Are they keeping it? Or is there a pending sale? If they happen to know any related to each property, they can go ahead and put it in here. Otherwise, we would update it later. And they would just do that for each property that they own.
So how do you handle that if it's I'm listed contingent on sale? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. If it's contingent on the sale of their current primary or another property, we will have the letter written that way, their pre-approval letter.
Okay.
And then, and of course, the realtor will make sure that when they structure the offer, that it is contingent upon the sale of their home. And then throughout the process, we would just collect the documentation on the sale of that home. So we would end up collecting the purchase agreement, and during the underwriting process, at least a preliminary closing disclosure for that transaction. And then prior to funding our loan, we would just need the final CD.
Good. Okay. And then on the previous page, the 3 questions, how would you counsel them to answer that question up at the top with the 3 buttons?
Here.
No, the one before that. Oops. Yeah, let's go through it again. The question of, are you in process, sold, or keeping?
I see.
How do you counsel them to answer
Status
that?
sold,
There you
so
go.
if it's recently sold, retained, meaning that they're keeping the property. So I'm keeping my current primary, but looking to buy a new one. So then maybe this one here will be sold after closing, or perhaps maybe I'm going to rent it out. So we would list that as retained. And then pending sale, this is where we would indicate that like this is where we would have the borrower, and we'll verify this too to make sure that they're clicking the correct one. But pending sale would be making sure that that home sells prior to closing on the new transaction.
So they would use that even if they didn't have a signed contract. If they're expecting to sell their property before they contingent upon selling their property, they would choose pending sale even if they haven't gotten a contract on theirs yet.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And eventually Kevin's gonna update it to sold in the other system that I show you
Okay.
later. Because we'll know, you know, because most people, when they're filling this out, they'll say literally, well, it's not sold, right? So I don't want to select that.
And
But
that's what I
it's-
would picture somebody hanging up on. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's fine. Sometimes we'll have them come over both ways because it can be a little confusing if you're not in the business. But it's fine. It's fine. We always are, you know, we're verifying the application, and we have to update it eventually anyway.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and then next, the online application is going to walk the member through the declarations questions. So the top half is, of course, about the property and money for their loan, and then the second half walks them through the declaration questions that are about their finances. If the member says yes to something that would typically require an explanation, the text box will open up and they can go ahead and put in some information there. The demographic information is available here for the member to answer as well. So they can, and these questions are, of course, are related around the borrower's gender, ethnicity, race, and language preference. When they do the online application, of course, they always have that option if they choose not to provide information. And the very last page is the consent screen. At the top, it's going to map over the Sims text messaging consent, and then it's going to capture their consent to send documents to them electronically throughout the process, and then their consent to pull credit. One is a soft pull and one is the tri-merge. The very end, this is where they'll key in their social security number. Once they have that complete, they go to the next page.
Before we
And-
do that,
oh.
can we, well, I'm sorry, I should have cut you off earlier.
Oh,
So
you're fine.
for receive documents electronically, is that through the portal or is that email? And if it is email, can we assure the member that it's encrypted?
So it's to answer your question, yes, it's kind of both. So it's through our secure system called Solex. And what they'll get, they will get an email invite to that portal. And there's a link in there that lets them know, like they would have to sign in because it's a secure site so that they can review and sign disclosures. So that's one way that they can access it, or again, through our online secure portal, which is after the application. They can access
Excellent.
it both ways. Yep.
Okay, and both ways would be more secure than email, so that's
Oh, for
super.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Great question. Yes. Once they get to the end, they have the option to go ahead and submit now. Once they do, this button will change to an upload button. So if they have some documents available at the time of application, they can go ahead and submit those. Like if they have a pay stub or a W-2, they can go ahead and upload it if they want to. They'll immediately get an email with a confirmation that we've received the application. And then also it provides the link to go to the actual portal, which is this piece after the application. And I don't know if I showed you this in the demo, but this is what it looks like, just so that you're aware. So they do have to sign in with the profile that they created and then the last four of their SOCH. And then they would just click on a loan. So for example, I got two loans out here. Oops, that was the wrong one. Try that again. That one's pending, but then here's this one. So what's nice about the portal is that when they come in, the landing page lets them know the status of the loan. So the borrower can see, when the application goes from just an application status into processing, underwriting, closing, so they can self-serve that. They'll also see a quick recap of the loan amount, the interest rate, payment, and terms, when the appraisal was ordered and when the rate was locked. If they didn't have those any documents available at the time of upload, they can come out here and they can either upload them here under My Tasks or Documents Needed for the Loan. Really easy to upload. So for example, maybe they want to put in a pay stub. They're just going to click on it and then add the file. When it opens up, the member can drop and drag. It tells them right here, drop and drag, or copy and paste files in, or they can search for them on their desktop.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then right here, I've already signed it, but this is where they could, if they don't use the invite from the email that is sent to them, or they delete it, or maybe it got filtered through their spam, they can come out here into the portal. And right here where it says view documents, it would be, click to review and sign. And then they can download a copy as well. The For My The For My information is not utilized in the live environment. And then documents needed is just kind of a catch-all for maybe there was something specific that Kevin requested that wasn't on this task list. So we have kind of some canned items here, but maybe we have, I don't know, a divorce decree or something else. The member can come out to this part and go ahead and upload. Two last sections. So messaging, there's a message board in here where the member can communicate directly with Kevin. And what it does is it'll send him a flag in Blue Sage, the loan officer portal. So he'll know that a message was sent to him, but the member can send a message directly like within the portal, or they're welcome to, send it via email, text, phone, whatever they want. But it's kind of cool that they can have that back and forth right within the portal. And then the contact us, of course, it's going to have Kevin's information, a direct link for his email, kind of all of that contact info.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. So this, again, this is all the borrower facing, so the member experience part of it. And this is, you can guide the member to complete the application online. Or what I'm going to jump into next is Blue Sage, the LOP. But before I do, I want to see if there's any questions.
Not for me. Anyone else?
Maria, are you doing okay?
Not from me.
Okay, great. Thanks, Robin.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, fantastic. I am going to jump into the loan officer portal. So this is Blue Sage, but this is from the originator's point of view. Have you all received credentials yet, or are we still working on them for you?
I haven't seen that. Robin, do you know?
I have not.
Okay, we will follow up on that and get those over for you. Greg, do you recall reviewing and signing like a form for credential information?
We did, yeah. Kelsey,
Okay.
we completed a form that included the emails and phone numbers for everyone, right? Everybody that's going to get credentials.
Correct. Yeah, we did.
Okay, I'll let IT know that you had your training today, and then what they'll do is they'll send out your credentials. You'll get it. It typically comes from, you'll get 2 emails, one with a login and one with a temporary ID. Excuse me, one with a login and a temporary password. And then the system will have you create a new password. So that typically comes from Josie Price or David Charlton. Okay. So once you get your credentials, you're going to go ahead and click login. And it's going to drop you into this high-level dashboard view. You're going to spend most of your time either up in loans, and this is where you would pull in, like go into loans that have already been input into the system. Or if you're doing a phone application or a face-to-face application, you're going to come over to new, and then you're going to drop down to loan application. So I'm going to walk through this piece first. So when you click on loan application, it's going to drop you into a 1003. It's going to cover almost the exact same information we just walked through on the bar, or like on the members experience. It just has a different look and feel. When you get to this page, the very first thing that you're going to do, because this is the borrower page, is you're going to tee it up with the number of applicants, 1 through 4. And at the top here, it should default to your credit union and should default to your name because you are the loan interviewer. If it does not, then use the drop-down box and just grab a hold of your name. Now, for time purposes, I have one set up, so I'm going to go into that. Bear with me. Now, based on your partnership model, we don't expect you to do I'll say a full application outside of like what we just kind of went through with the member experience. And just so we just ask you to fill it out the best you can. Things you don't have to worry about doing because we do it on your behalf. We'll pull in the credit. We'll update the liability screen. We're working with a member to pull in the product and price out the loan. Anything related to compliance and anything related to disclosures as well as running AUS. None of that you have to worry about. So I'm just going to walk through the screens that we would ask you to try to capture as much information as possible. And then Kevin will pick it up from there and connect with your member. You would, if you are talking to your member, just want to let them know and kind of set the expectation of who Member First Mortgage is and let them know that we're going to be reaching out to them and that Kevin Trumbull will be connecting with them to go over the application.
Excellent. Okay, good. And that's a good point. Let's take a minute to lift that across, just to refresh our collective memories. Currently with True Home, we do the simple 7. We capture that information. Of course, we do capture more information in a conversation with the applicant very often. This gives us the ability to capture more if the member offers it, but we don't have to. And then we can turn around and make sure that all the compliance is fully complete by MFM. So we're not responsible for any of that. We can input additional information here, and that's what Tanya's going to show us today, but it's not a requirement.
And Greg, can you, just for my knowledge and understanding, what's the simple 7 that you're filling out for True Home right now?
So True Home has a simple 7, and it's been long enough. I'm going to have to turn to, hey, Marie, would you be able to help me with that? What's on the simple 7?
So we just collect their name, their address, the amount that they're lending, the state that they reside in, phone number, email, and best time to contact. So just basically contact information for True Homes to reach out to them and gather more information on a prospective buy or refinance.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks so much, Marie.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure. That's kind of what I assumed, but I just wanted the clarity so I understood. So that's absolutely fine. You could do the exact same, and the majority of that information will be on page 1, where you'll find some of that information, like you'll need to put it into the notepad for the difference. And what I mean by that, actually we can just do a task for it. So let me just kind of walk through this screen real quick. So we have our name, social security number, date of birth, marital status and citizenship, phone number, the email address. It's a kind of weird, the system has you click on the pencil, but as soon as you click on the pencil, this is where you open it up and you would key in the email address that they would like to use. And then down at the bottom, this is grayed out right now because I've already typed it in, but normally it's going to be a white cell field, and you'll just throw in their current address, update their occupancy for us using the drop-down box, let us know how long they've been there. This external ID, if you have it handy, fine. If not, it's not a big deal. What this is the borrower's membership number with your credit union. Why do we have it on here? There's 2 reasons. One is if you're actually doing a portfolio loan with us, like running a port loan through us, it is required on the portfolio commitment sheet. It flows through. There's a place, that this number flows through to. And then 2, it's for reporting purposes and more reporting for your team. It would correlate your membership number with the MFM loan number. But if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. The last required question on this page here is if the borrower or spouse is serving or has served or currently serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, and yes or no. And then from that point, if you have just that information in the system, that is enough. It will create this loan number. It'll look a tad bit different in the live environment, but it will be there. And then what you could do is from this point, if that's what you're used to capturing, put in some additional details by putting a task in the system or notes. So let me kind of explain this. When an application comes in online, like the member does it themselves, Kevin gets multiple notifications right away. So he gets email notifications. Blue Sage holds communication for him up in his tasks, so he knows it's there. If you're taking an application or this lead, you need to let him know it's there. And you can do it one of two ways. One, you can simply just shoot him an email and say, hey, John Smith's application is in the system, file number 2818. And he'll get your email and he'll know to go follow up on it. The other way, and probably the easiest way, is to set a task to Kevin. And I can send you a screenshot of this. But what you'll do is you'll click on this blue check mark up here, and we're going to set a specific task so it flows into his Blue Sage, and he gets those immediately. And it kind of, what tasks do, not that you'll ever use this, but so that you have an idea, it lets us know what we need to do. So for example, if it was today's date here, this says, Kevin, you have a brand new application in the system, and this is kind of number one that he's going to follow up on. And then we have other different types of tasks out there too, but these are the ones that let us know you got something, we got a new application to follow up on. All right, so let me kind of double back. All right, so here I am. If I want to add that task in for him, you can either use the drop down box or start to type that it's a notification related task. And then it's going to be a new consumer application. So I'm going to start to type new and it'll pre-fill. And then Kevin is a loan officer and he's assigned to the loan officer team. So I'm going to start to type loan officer. And then his name, Kevin. Now, I'm in the test environment. Kevin's not in there, so I'm going to pretend Kelvin is Kevin for a minute. But you're going to do Kevin Trumbull. And then this is where you would put your notes in, or you could put notes in. Maybe remember looking, oh my goodness. Or whatever notes you have, and hit save. And that goes right into his list. So I'll send you a screenshot of that. I know it's really not hard. I know it's new to you, like grabbing these different categories, but I'll send it to you so you have it. Or like I said, you can just shoot him an email too, and we can put the main notes that we just put in that task into the notes of the loan. So where that is up at application. You're going to drop down to notes. And that note that I actually just typed, it is going to be in here and it's going to be under my task notes. And I can either get to that by using this scroll button and going down to my task notes. So here it is. That's what I just put in. Or if I'm up at the top, like you can click on the different types and it's just going to display those notes. It defaults to all notes. And then you could add a note. So if you're not doing the task, you can add your note here by clicking on add. The system wants a note type and title. For ease of use, I hit N on my keyboard for notes, and then I do notes again, and then type, and save. Once you do that, it's going to timestamp and date it. If you're just putting a note in the notepad, Kevin doesn't know your notes here. He won't know the files here. So again, you just either email or do that task. So that was a lot. I'm going to pause for a second and see what questions you might have or any concerns.
Not for me.
Okay.
Anybody?
No.
All right. Now I'm going to walk back to the application. I'm going to walk you through the other screens. If you want to do your simple 7 with your note, that's absolutely fine. And we'll let Kevin know that that's, he can expect that. Or you can walk through a few more pages of the application. Generally under this partnership, we would ask that you collect it, but it's super not required. Like I said, we'll connect with Kevin. And what we'll do too is we'll send you a guide that basically outlines the typical pages you would visit. So the next one would be the consent screen. And this is just capturing their consent, kind of like what we did online when the borrower did it, but we're going to capture their consent for a soft pull credit. authorization to pull a tri-merge, and then authorization to send them documents electronically. Now, how you tell the system that you received that confirmation and authorization is you're going to click the box here. It doesn't look like there's anything available, but once you bring your mouse over to this field, a drop-down box does appear, and you would just indicate verbal. And then once you do, everything is time-stamped and dated. There are little scripts built in for the user if they want a little assistance on how to capture that information. And then you're just clicking on those little pieces of paper. As it relates to the intent to proceed and the borrower's authorization, that comes later in the process, so you're never going to have to worry about that. Credit would be something that Kevin pulls, so you would skip that. If you're having the conversation with the member and walking through the 1003, you can capture their employment information. If they're actively employed, you say yes. And just like the online application, it's going to open up to capture as much information as possible. And we're just looking for those fields with the red asterisk. Everything else you can leave blank. If you leave a field blank that has a red asterisk, the system is going to make you stay on that page and say, hey, you need to fix this. Validation failed because there's not enough info. Now, this is a little bit different if you have that borrower who is not employed and we have other income. What you're going to do is you're going to say no here, and then you're just going to come over to this piece of paper and add a note. And really any notes will override the pop-up.
Ooh, let's add retired. Yep, thank you.
Yep. Add retired, and then we should be good to go. And I know it's still yelling at me here, but it should override it. Okay. Because in the live environment, if you say no and forget to do the note, there's going to be a pop-up in your screen, and it's going to gently direct you back to that. It's going to say, hey, at least one borrower must have a 2-year employment history or an employment note. So if you forget, it's going to guide you to this note. So now let's say we have that borrower that is retired or has other quote unquote sources of income. Already have some listed out here. Very simple to add. Click on add. Use the drop down box to find the appropriate type. And again, there's an other in here if the borrower truly has something unique that's not listed out. I haven't found one yet, but there could be. Or up at the top, it has that smart text feature. So maybe separate maintenance, how about Social Security, anything you want. If you start to type it, it will pre-fill for you. And then this is just the monthly amount. Save and add if I have more, or simply save if I'm done. Asset screen, that works just like this past income screen. Again, I have some already built out, but how I put those in, I'm clicking on add. I'm going to select my type or type it in. I'm going to start to type money market, credit union, and my estimated balance, and save. Liabilities is not something that you would touch because that comes in with the credit report. Real estate owned, if you're having that conversation and you have time to put that in, that would be great. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to click on add property. If the borrower owns the property, which happens to be the same as present address, we're going to do a little cheat. But before you do, it's going to tell you got to select at least one borrower. So you're going to select IMA over here, or whoever your borrower is, and then select this button. And when you do, you can see that the borrower's address mapped over into this field here. And we just have a little updating to do. If it's going to be a refinance transaction, you can actually click this button too to let the system know that this is the subject property for the transaction. And then the next screen will automatically be updated as a refinance.
Okay.
Couple fields that you would just update would be property type. So just asking the member what kind of home they're currently living in. And then, what is this going to be? This is going back. And Kevin, you can see there's so many different options here. But we'll go with sold, retained, or pending sale. estimated current market value, and that's just an estimate based off of what the member, feels that the house will sell for, or Google search, Zillow, whatever you want to put in there if they're not sure, and then select the current occupancy. And the rest you leave blank, you can just hit save. The purpose and property screen, this is the collateral screen. So in the last screen, I did not indicate that it was the subject property. So this would be a purchase transaction, and it should default to that up at the top. The very first question that you want to pay attention to is this property located if you're filling out this page? And generally you're going to hit no, unless the member is under a signed contract. In that case, you can say yes and key in the full address of information. But otherwise just leave it as no, because once we put an address in here, this application is only, of course, good for that. The application is good only for that address. Okay.
Could you walk me through? So if, I don't know, let's pick they mistakenly put in the wrong address or something like that.
Yeah.
How would that work? Are you saying that it's a one and done, you can't back it out, and you have to start over, or how does that work?
Well, I mean, so like if I type this in, if you catch it, it would be okay. If you don't, and Kevin, so if Kevin ends up putting in like enough information, like an estimated loan amount and an estimated value, that's going to be the 6 key pieces to make a TILA, or we'll have the 6 key pieces at that point to make a TILA
Gotcha.
RESPA application. And
Okay.
it's okay. We can copy the application so that the borrower, I mean, it's not like they're done with us completely. Just this particular application would need to be redone as a TBD.
Gotcha. So if it triggers a TILA, then that's it. If something changes materially, you just start over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Yeah, so then on this page here, so again, we generally would suggest putting no, especially like, members looking to get pre-qualified. I don't know if you ever have this situation. We do all the time. Hey, I found this awesome house on realtor.com. It's 123 Main Street. I'm going to go look at it and need a pre-approval letter. I would leave it as no, as a TBD, until they have that signed contract, because, the chances are they're going to go look at it and say it looked great online, but that's not the one. I'm just going to keep looking.
And that does come up. So that's not a separate bullet point on the left. It's just completing it without the property location.
Correct. You just hit no, and the system will TBD out the address, and then you're just putting in a zip code as a holder place, like any zip code, because the system just needs it.
So how would we respond? Let's say we want to set up I don't know, a hyperlink that says, need a pre-approval letter, click here. Where would it take us? What would we do?
Oh, you want a hyperlink for that? Is that what you're saying? Like,
well, if we did want that, how would we handle that here? Or would that be over on the member facing side that we've already been through?
Yeah, that would be the member facing side. So what we can do is we can share with you. So a couple different things. You can grab the link from your website and email it off. Or I'm trying to think, how else could we do? Trying to we all have like electronic links in our signatures, but we would want them to come from your credit union. So the best way, do you already have our Cub sites or your Cub site embedded on your website?
No, we're just signing up. We're in process on that, but
Yeah,
that's not
okay.
complete yet.
So when it becomes available, let me kind of show you a partner of ours. So you'll have whatever you chose to set up and what your landing page looks like. The apply now, what you can do is grab a hold of the URL and then just create it into a link in your email. I'm not sure if everybody knows how to do this, so I'm just going to show you. Hopefully I'm not wasting your time. What you can do is, so write your email. I got the link saved in the mouse there. And then what I do is I do insert and then link, insert link, and paste. So now it's created a
Now it's
hyperlink.
hyperlinked, yeah.
Yep.
But
And
it's going back over to that application page.
yep, it would,
okay.
so it would direct them here.
Okay. So there's no specific button that says pre-approval letter. There's nothing like that.
No, no.
Gotcha. Okay.
No. And you can change the wording, you know, if you're sending it out via email or something, or even on your website instead of, so here we have apply now, you know, I think you can change that wording. You'll have to work with our marketing team. I think you can change that wording to pre-approval.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so back to the purpose and property screen. Again, just hitting no and putting in a zip code. The city, state, zip, or excuse me, the city, state, and county, that will all update automatically based off the zip code, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you would just let us know like the anticipated occupancy and property type. So what is the member looking to purchase, a primary, investment, or second home? And then what do you think, or what do they think they're looking for? Do they think they're looking for a detached? Do they think they're looking for a condo? Maybe it could be one or the other. They're not really sure. They're open to all. It doesn't really matter. You're going to select one and we'll update it when they become under contract. Scrolling down to the bottom, and I'm just looking for the red asterisk. If you're filling out this field, or excuse me, this screen, it's going to want the number of units we're thinking about. So anywhere from 1 to 4. And then it's going to want the building status. And 9.5 times at a time, that's going to be your existing. When I scrolled back up to the right, we had 2 other fields. They are required fields. This is not showing in test mode, but in the live environment it is. You just throw in $1 to override it. This is for estimating for property taxes and insurance. If you're comfortable and fluent with, you know, estimating that, feel free, go ahead and put it in the monthly estimate. Otherwise, just do the $1 and Kevin's going to update it.
Okay.
The housing expense screen is almost there. Housing expense screen, for the most part, you're not going to do anything other than if your borrower's a renter and you're filling out more of the application than just the simple 7, you just throw in their monthly rent figure, whatever that looks like, and you're done. The last 2 pages that if you're working up a complete app here, go to the declaration page and then the demographic. So so this is walking the member through those deck questions about the property and their money for the transaction. And then of course about their finances, and you run through the yes or no questions. And if you needed to collect an explanation, it's in a little different spot than the online. It's down here at the bottom. And then you would just enter in the text for the corresponding question. Now I know we're at the top of the hour. I have just a couple minutes left. Do you guys all have to go, or would I be able to steal maybe an extra 5 minutes of your time?
I can stay.
I can stay.
I can do
Okay.
an extra 5 minutes.
Okay, great. I will move swiftly, but not too fast. All right, the next page then is the demographic information. This is filling it out. So you're either going to pick either it's a face-to-face or a telephone. Please do not pick fax or mail or internet. If it was internet, it would have came in online, and we don't do fax or mail. So it's just going to be one of the top 2. You'll run the borrower through the demographic questions, asking them about their ethnicity, gender, race, and language preference. If they choose not to respond, you would just indicate so. All right. So I know that's a little bit more than what you're doing with True Home. Um, if this simple 7 is what you're most comfortable with to start off, that's absolutely fine, especially as you're starting to get to know this system. That's totally up to you. I'm going to send you a guide just so you remember which pages I did hit on if you want to be adventurous and fill out a few more pages. And then if you start with just the simple 7 and later down the road, we want to do a little bit more, just reconnect with me, and Greg, we can set up time to go over this again if everybody would want to.
Great. Okay.
And you might have the need, so I'm going to go back to the home section here. I don't know, will you from time to time, check in on the status of a loan?
I think it's fair to say that we would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I would leave that to you. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think having visibility to the
See that.
pipeline would be great if possible.
Yeah, so pipeline reports will definitely be available to you. Those come through the secure site. And then if you wanted to, drill into a file, maybe you want to just see how things are going or you're looking for an update. So from the main page, you're going to click into loans. And when you come out here, the system is going to drop you into this recent loan tab. So when you guys first log in, you're going to come out here and all this information down here is going to be blank because this is holding on to or displaying the last 20 loans that you've touched. After you start looking at loans, then of course this is going to grow. So to start off, you're going to need to search for your loan. So you can search by last name or partial loan number. If you're not finding what you're looking for, there is an advanced search feature. So you're going to click on advanced, and then I find the easiest way is probably the primary borrower's social security number. You're going to key that in here and hit enter or search at the top. You can search by address or partial address. So for like example, if we only have, just the street, or excuse me, the house number, anything in the system tied to your credit union with that in the address will show up at the bottom. Now, how you get into a loan is you're going to click on the hyperlink. So I'm going to go back to that loan we were just working on and click right here. So when I click on it, it's going to take me into the loan. And this is what's called the loan action screen. You do not need to do anything on this screen. This houses open tasks for different users in the system based on their roles, but that would not be for you. So you can ignore it. I just like to point out what we're looking at here because this is the very first place that it lands you into. Now, where you'll spend the majority of your time is going to be up here in the application section. So you click on application. If you wanted to look at the 1003 that we just walked through, you would drop down to the ELCA. And then this is where we just kind of spent some time. Just a quick recap up under application. We do have the notes down at the bottom, and that's how you get into the notepad.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you for your extra 5 minutes. That's what I wanted to make sure that I got to cover with the team. And then I will follow up on a couple of things. It'll probably be later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. But before that, I will definitely follow up with IT, let them know you've had your intro training and get you credentials. And then I'm going to send you a little guide that will have all of our contact information and the pages we visited and a screenshot of that task.
Excellent. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Any questions or concerns?
No questions.
Okay.
No questions from me.
Tanya, I've got
Oh.
2 additional questions on
Okay.
secondary versus portfolio, but nobody, if you guys don't want to stick around for that, you're welcome to stick around, but you don't have to.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you coming over and watching us.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you.
Tanya, my question is regarding the breakdown of portfolio versus secondary. Where do we make that judgment call as to where we buy it versus sell it into the secondary? And how does that get displayed on the metrics you showed us just now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So let me back up as far as showing where it displays. So if you're coming out here and looking at it, you would see in the loan product. Okay, so I'm in the test environment, but we have like this here, this says LAFCU. That's one of our, it's the Lansing Federal Credit Union or something close to that. And when we see that, it's a 30-year fix. So when we see the naming convention of the credit union here, or it'll say QM Port, then we know it's set up as a portfolio loan.
Gotcha. Okay.
When it's a secondary loan, so that of course would be any government loan, or you would see, like, let's say there's a conventional loan that you chose to pass on, you just didn't want to port it for whatever reason. You would see MFM. And sometimes then you'll see, like, in parentheses, this is just a different investor, and who it is escaping me at the moment. But this is what you would expect to see, MFM. Now, as far as how and when that decision gets made, so when Kevin reviews the file and he's looking to see what the member might qualify for,
Right.
if the member qualifies for, conventional, or maybe they don't qualify, but it has some strong compensating factors and metrics to it, he is always going to send it to the credit union to review first before locking with any kind of secondary loan. So
Okay.
you always have the first right of refusal.
And how about for a loan that is qualified for a secondary in all respects? Would we have first right of refusal with those two?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So generally speaking, all applications, we get first right of refusal. Is that which is what we're looking for? That was my understanding. Is that a report? Do we pull that off a system? How do we get to that?
Yeah, no, Kevin will connect with you and send you what's called a port form.
Okay.
So let me show you.
And then with the port form, we just choose for each individual loan as they come through, whether we take them or not.
Yeah. So let me
Gotcha.
show you what it looks like and what he will send you. So he's going to pull.
And we're still recording, right? Just to be
Yes.
sure. Okay.
Do you want me to turn this off or keep it on?
No, yeah, no, I definitely
Okay.
keep recording. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, sometimes in the test environment, it takes me a minute to pull up forms. So this is going to be it.
No worries.
Now, would you want to review files that would generally be like VA or RD, like 100% financing?
Well, that's a great question. I don't have a firm answer on that. I would venture to say the further it gets away from conforming secondary, the less we want it, but I can't say that for sure. If we were to create I don't know, rural pastors program, we might want to market it that we're holding it. I just want to know what the requirements versus our options are.
Okay, well, we'll make sure Kevin sends you a port form on absolutely everything.
Sure.
Now, does that go directly to you, Greg, or do you delegate that to somebody else?
No, Robin is my successor. So Robin, if you would chime in, how do you want to handle that? I'm just handling these issues that were part of my portfolio when I retired. So, I'm fading into the sunset already. I'm on my horse.
There you go.
I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure. I would probably ask you for your opinion.
I think, from my opinion, I think unless you and Lewis disagree, I would say get the form delivered to you each and every time, and then run it past Lewis as you two get comfortable with the new program. That's what I would have suggested to him for me.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
So what you can expect to see, and Kevin, I'm going to blow this up because I'm sure it's kind of hard to see on your end. So a lot of this stuff is going to map over based on how the file is set up. There's a couple pieces though that Kevin is going to mark up and edit and send over to you. So for example, starting with the left-hand side here, you can see we have this file is set up with a 20% down payment. The DTI is currently at 23.16. And then we have up to. So this is always going to be filled out. And generally, Kevin will, as you guys start to work together on what your appetite is for for portfolio lending, like I see our guys do different things. So some will say, something like this where we're at 23%, they're probably gonna put in 43, right? Just as a
Gotcha.
good gauge, just to say, hey, we need some wiggle room. We're just at the very beginning. We still need homeowners insurance. We still need to calculate income formally, excuse me, et cetera.
And we don't want to kill the application just in case. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And what happens is, if we don't fill this out or put that increase, then underwriting is going to say, okay, well, I need a brand new port form if it goes over this at all.
Mhm.
So you'll see him put in probably up to like 43 or 45,
Right.
something like that.
Okay. And then I see down below the approval is within 1 business day. Is there a way to change the parameters on that, maybe to 2, just to give us a little more wiggle room?
But we actually do have, it does say 1 business day just to help create some urgency, because we have some credit unions that
Oh,
will,
sure. Yep.
delay getting back, unfortunately, because they're busy too. But yes, it is it is 2 business days.
Okay, okay.
Where-
And I'd want some flexibility, but yeah, I certainly understand if we don't get back to it, it's our own damn fault. But yeah, we'd want to make sure we're realistic about how fast we get back to you. Because there are days when we're either on vacations or
Yeah.
in meetings and it just doesn't work. Okay,
Yeah,
good to know.
for sure.
Is there a way to put that on the form?
I don't think so, because we don't have control over changing that, like
That goes to
like
legal.
on a granular, like just for one credit union, like it
Sure,
would be a
yeah.
whole map. So I don't
Yeah.
believe so.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. And then is there a way to so we'd want to write up this process and then present it amongst other things to our legal counsel at MIF, who
Okay.
provides opinions for us too. And we've created a process over here where she gets a lot of the uh, process, not only contracts, but also process for review. Is there a way to get a sample of each of these documents? Well, once we're signed into the portal, we could just pull whatever, right? We'd have access to
for
all of it.
sure.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Those
So,
were my questions.
great, great. And then Robin, what he'll do is he'll tee this up. So generally it'll be yes, or, if he's not getting eligible, AUS approval, like he's getting caution or refer, this would be indicated no. On the right-hand side, property inspection waiver. So if we're running AUS and the file says we don't need to do an appraisal, he'll indicate that, and he'll indicate yes, or you could say no. He's going to tee it up based off of his experience and say, hey, do you want it, and do you want it this way? And you can say yes, or you can say no, or you can say I want it, but I want this, or I want that. So he'll just kind of tee it up, and then you guys will communicate, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, down here, you'll see if anything doesn't, if some things need to be waived. I don't know, let's say somebody applies that's, I don't know, maybe you guys have a great relationship with a member, I don't know, maybe he's been banking with you for 30 years. Have that great relationship, but maybe the income is just a little bit off, or we can't document it the way we typically would for underwriting. So if you wanted to waive particular items or waive asset items, really anything related to the file, we would spell it out in here so that you can see it. So for example, maybe waiving any documentation related to a large deposit. Okay. And then down at the bottom is where it gets signed.
Okay.
Great.
Well, thanks so much for walking us through that. I appreciate the process. Appreciate you walking us through the process, and we'll discuss it internally, and we'll chat about that internally as well.
Okay, that sounds That sounds great. And then I might just need a little bit of time to get you the recording because the recordings are usually like large. So what I
Right.
have to do is have my marketing team create it to a YouTube link to send out.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
You are welcome. Thank you guys for your time today. Thanks for letting me go over. Sorry about that.
Oh, happy you did.
No,
It's
don't be
good to
sorry.
get, yeah, good to get all the information. That's great.
All right, fantastic. Well, have a great rest of your week and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.